Hey, it's Domain Dave from CheapWineFinder.com. Again, got another podcast for a wine we wrote up on the CheapWineFinder.com website. Like we always do. 3 a week, write them up, plug in the microphone, and here we are again. And today we've got the Mark West Pinot Noir 2021. Mark West wines, the vintages mean something. A lot of, value price wines are going to be kind of the same year in, year out. Global warming is going to change that some, but Pinot Noir might be the first ones that actually need that. So wine I found on sale for the 2021 vintage, I think I got a $3 rebate and it was $4.99. Normally it's $9. Typically it's $10. Mark West is actually a winery that was started in 1978. It was privately owned back then. Gallo, E&J Gallo, the world's, or I think the largest in the U.S. family-owned winery. It's a huge winery. Own them now. I think they're now a brand too. Where they started out in Sonoma, I don't think that they actually have. Well, I know they don't have their own facilities. They're a brand. 2021 vintage got hot at the wrong time of the year, towards the end of the year, and the Pinot Noir needs a long, cool, lengthy, full growing season. And they took grapes from Central Coast and North Coast, but they used mostly Lodi grapes, according to the tasting notes for this one. And I looked at the 2022 tasting notes, and they didn't mention that at all. They said they used everything from the Central Coast on that one. So that's why I'm saying different vintages mean a lot. And sometimes if you do a little homework on a bottle of wine, you can pick out the vintage that's right. And I now know why there was a $3 vintage in the 2021. Not that there's anything necessarily horrible about it, but it isn't as good as it can be because they had to add, because of the quicker growing season where the grapes didn't have their full season. Not only did they add a portion of Zinfandel, they added Graciano, and that is a Spanish grape from Rioja that they add to Tempranillo for Rioja wines. And those are all big, bold red wines, Rioja and Zinfandel. I'm going to take a sip here. And Pinot Noir isn't a big, bold wine. So they had to move fast to make something nice. And while as a Pinot Noir, it's not a bad wine. It's a little bit simple, but not all the way. But there is some interesting flavors. They knew what they were doing and they made things work. But with Pinot Noir, you kind of want it to be, start out great. They had to do some fancy footwork here to make this one into a wine that is drinkable. And it's everything is kind of ripe. It's like black cherry. There's some maybe blackberry. There's plums. There's a bit of vanilla, like sweet vanilla. Then there's spices and maybe fruit roll-ups, cherry cough drops, and those kind of things that are a bit too ripe for what a Pinot Noir should be doing. But for a $4.99 wine, I'm not complaining at all. I mean, it drinks really well, and I'm not going to complain. But if and I got it for I didn't buy it. This is a drink. I wrote it. I bought it to review, and it was good because I should have, if I was going to buy myself, try to find the 2022 vintage or the 2023 when it comes out. Because those are Central Coast and it's going to be cool weather and they're going to have a longer growing season. Even if it does get hot, it's not going to be the same as Lodi. Take another sip. Like I said, I'm not saying it's a bad wine at all. I'm just saying that Mark West Pinot Noir has been the largest selling under $15 Pinot Noir for 15 years in a row. They're doing something right there. And this is a little bit of a bump in the road, but I'm not, they had to do it. That's what's going on out there in California with the weather. And it's not a wine. If you see it on sale, grab it. It's a little sweet, but it's not bad. Maybe put a little chill on it. I'm seeing more and more wines that you should put in the refrigerator for maybe, or put on ice when you bring it outside, or give it 15 minutes in the fridge. This might be one of those wines where you want a little bit of a cooler red wine rather than putting only white wines on ice. I think this would be a good prime example of a wine that could use 15, 20 minutes in the refrigerator. My third sip. So, while I'm complaining, saying it's not up to Mark West's typical standards, it's not bad at all. I mean, they had to do some fancy things. They had to add Graciano. They had to add Zinfandel. Not the things you normally add to a Pinot Noir. But I'm kind of liking the flavor. I mean, I'm not liking the Pinot Noirness of it, but as a red wine, I'm thinking it's just fine. And I'm also thinking that this might be not a bad barbecue wine. Pinot Noir usually isn't a barbecue wine. This one is. It's got that little bit of sweetness that if you had some, barbecue sauce or, some applewood smoke things would go really well with it. So I think a winemaker who was quick on his feet and saved a kind of troubled vintage kind of came up with a wine that is very useful. Well, that's my last sip. This is Domain Dave, cheapwinefinder.com. The Mark West Pinot Noir 2021. Their website's good. Check out, what is the best vintage. And if someone gives you a $4 rebate on a wine that shouldn't, it's the best-selling wine, why they give me a rebate? Maybe you want to look at that. But it turned out that, this wine does have its uses. So there you go. This is me signing off. I've got actually a red wine that you're supposed to chill. The label turns blue when it's cold enough. So adios, Domain Dave here. Keep it cheap, and I'll talk to you in a couple days. Bye-bye.